What if the moment your heart stops isn't the end? What if your soul lingers, watching, wandering, judged not by gods, but by your own memories? In the shadow of the Himalayas, inside a crumbling monastery buried by snow and silence, explorers found something strange, a sealed scroll, wrapped in red silk, hidden behind a stone wall. Monks had once risked their lives to protect it. Some whispered it was cursed. Others claimed it held the map of the soul's journey after death. And now, you're going to hear what it says. But be warned, what you're about to learn may change the way you see life, death, and what comes after. The hidden manuscript, discovered in silence. The year was 1927. A team of British scholars and Tibetan guides had been tracing ancient trade routes near the Indian border, searching for lost temples swallowed by time. What they found instead was a forgotten monastery carved into a cliff face, untouched for centuries. Inside, behind a false panel in the altar wall, they uncovered a scroll sealed in beeswax and bound in red cords. It was old. Older than anything they had seen. The paper was hand-pressed from mulberry bark. The script, flowing, symbolic, almost alive, pulsed with something eerie. Alongside it were drawings, souls floating above corpses, gates of fire, glowing beings with 1,000 arms, and eyes that stared through the page. They didn't recognize the language at first. Later analysis revealed it was written in classical Tibetan, but older than any living dialect. After months of careful translation, a title emerged. Bardo Thodol, Liberation Through Hearing in the Intermediate State. But those who translated it began calling it something else. The Tibetan Book of the Dead. The scroll didn't speak of heaven or hell. It spoke of 49 days, the time between death and rebirth, and detailed, in chilling clarity, what happens to your consciousness in that liminal state. It wasn't a myth. It was a guidebook, meant to be read to the dying, so their soul wouldn't get lost. Death is not the end, the bardo begins. According to the manuscript, the moment you die, your body stops, but your mind does not. There's no tunnel of light. No final blackout. Instead, you wake up, standing beside your own corpse. You see the people around you. You hear them cry. You reach out, try to speak, but no one responds. Your voice is gone. Your hands pass through theirs. And that's when it begins, the bardo, the intermediate state. According to the manuscript, the bardo is a realm between life and rebirth. It's not a place, it's a state of awareness. One shaped entirely by you. The soul, or consciousness, floats, weightless, still attached to its earthly life. It watches the rituals, the mourning, the silence. It clings, confused, unwilling to let go. The dead don't always realize they're dead. For the first 7 days, the soul remains near the body. This is why, in Tibetan funerary rituals, the Bardo Thodol is read aloud beside the deceased, not to mourn them, but to guide them. Monks believe the soul is listening, and if no one speaks, the soul drifts, unprepared, lost, pulled deeper into illusions born from its own unfinished life. What the manuscript describes next is unsettling. The soul begins to relive memories. But not gently, not like a slideshow. More like a storm. Moments of regret return first, mistakes, betrayals, unsaid apologies. These are amplified, replayed, twisted. The soul reacts with fear, with denial, and these emotions shape what it sees. It's not judgment by a deity. It's judgment by you. The Bardo teaches, your inner state becomes your reality. Terrifying beings may appear, monsters, demons, screams. But the manuscript warns, these are projections of your own mind. If you recognize them as illusions, they vanish. But if you react with fear, they grow stronger. Each soul, the text says, will see something different. A murderer may face those he harmed. A loving parent may be surrounded by voices of their children, begging them to move on. There is no punishment, only reflection. But that reflection can be unbearable. The most dangerous thing you can carry into the bardo is regret. Day 1 to 7, the realm of confusion. Time is no longer linear. 7 days can feel like centuries, or seconds. According to the manuscript, the first 7 days after death are a period of pure disorientation. The soul drifts, neither here nor there. still tethered to memory, identity, and ego. But everything is slipping. Sounds echo from nowhere. Lights bend in unnatural ways. Familiar places appear warped. The soul wanders, trying to find its way home, but there is no home left. It's not hell. It's not peace. It's confusion. The manuscript warns that this is the most dangerous phase. Why? Because the soul doesn't yet understand it's dead. It still believes it can return. It reaches for family, friends, the comfort of routine. But every attempt is met with emptiness. The soul screams, but the world is deaf. Some souls, it says, hover near their own funerals. They see relatives praying. They see bodies burned or buried. And still, they resist. They whisper to their loved ones in dreams. They linger in old homes. But eventually, everything begins to fade, not because the soul lets go, but because it can't hold on. This is when visions begin. Day 3, according to the scroll, is the first appearance of the peaceful deities. These aren't gods in the Western sense. They're aspects of awareness. They appear in radiant light, sometimes human-like, sometimes symbolic, a glowing wheel, a lotus, an orb with eyes. If the soul remains calm, these figures offer liberation. But here's the catch. Their light is blinding. Too intense. Most souls recoil in fear, mistaking them for danger, not freedom. And the moment they do, the second type of vision begins. Day 5 and onward, the wrathful deities appear. Grotesque, monstrous, terrifying. Beings with fangs, flaming swords, skin of smoke and fire. They scream. They chase. They crush. But again, the manuscript insists. They are illusions. They are you. Each one symbolizes a part of your own unresolved trauma. Anger, greed, jealousy, violence. You are not being punished. You are being shown. And if you recognize these beings for what they are, they vanish like mist. But if you give in to fear, the bardo changes. Fear is the gravity of this world. The more you feed it, the deeper you sink. Day 8 to 21, the trial of mirrors. You no longer see the world around you. You see yourself. Fully. Brutally. By the 8th day, the soul has drifted beyond confusion. The outside world fades. There is no body to return to. No name. No anchor. Only the raw consciousness and the weight it carries. This is where the trial of mirrors begins. The manuscript describes it not as a courtroom, but as a hall of mind. There are no judges. No jury. Just you, and everything you've done. One by one, your memories rise. Not just major events, every gesture, every lie, every moment of cruelty or kindness. But not from your perspective. From the eyes of the people you affected. You don't remember making your mother cry. You feel it. You don't remember mocking a friend's vulnerability. You become them, reliving how they collapsed after you left. It's not punishment. It's empathy, amplified. And it is devastating. The scroll says most souls are shattered by this phase. Not because they were evil, but because they never understood their own impact. Their words, their silence, their selfishness, even the small ones, echo louder now than they ever imagined. But the bardo does not condemn. It reveals. And in this revelation, some souls are able to do something rare. Let go. Let go of guilt. Let go of identity. Let go of fear. And those souls begin to rise, toward the lights that return briefly, offering a final path to liberation. But for most, the light is too blinding, too foreign, too unfamiliar. And so, they turn away. They fall back into the samsaric loop, the cycle of craving, of ego, of memory. And the bardo pulls them deeper. From here, the journey becomes darker, more twisted, more dangerous. Because soon, the soul must choose what it becomes next. Day 22 to 49, the choice. By now, you're no longer who you were. Your name, your face, gone. But something deeper still lingers, craving. According to the manuscript, by day 22, the soul enters the final phase of the bardo. And this is where the most haunting part begins. The soul must now choose. what comes next. But the choice isn't made with logic. It's not a menu or a voice from the sky. It's chosen through attachment, through whatever lingering desires still burn inside you. If you cling to love, you may be drawn to familiar forms. If you ache for power, you may fall toward war-torn realms. If your final thoughts are shame, resentment, or fear, you may spiral toward darkness. This is where, according to the text, rebirth begins. The universe doesn't send you where you want to go, it sends you where you match. You don't choose the next life. Your mind chooses it for you. The manuscript describes a moment around day 35 as the second death. It's the death of memory, when the soul begins forgetting its previous life, losing clarity, dissolving into instinct. The ego breaks apart. You no longer remember your name, your face, your loved ones. You are pulled, magnetized, toward a womb, a mother, a body. You might be reborn as human, but you might not. According to the Bardo Thodol, there are 6 possible realms of rebirth. Human, the realm of balance, learning, and choice. Rare, precious. Deva, godlike, pleasurable but shallow, where comfort blinds you to truth. Asura, titans, beings of jealousy and war, constantly fighting. Animal, dominated by instinct, fear, and survival. Preta, hungry ghosts, souls trapped in endless craving, unable to satisfy their needs. Naraka, hell realm, not eternal, but full of suffering, cold or fire, shaped by anger and hate. Which path you take isn't punishment. It's a reflection, a mirror of your attachments. And if a soul becomes aware during this final phase, if it releases all clinging and craving, there's a chance. A small, brilliant chance. That it doesn't return at all. That it escapes the cycle entirely, dissolving into light, into clarity, into something beyond rebirth. But almost no one makes it. The pull of self is too strong. The 49th day approaches. The soul makes its final turn. And the wheel begins again. Why it was suppressed for centuries. Why it was suppressed for centuries. Why would something so profound, so sacred, be hidden for over 1,000 years? The answer lies not just in its content, but in its power. For centuries, the Bardo Thodol was treated as dangerous knowledge. Not because it promised salvation, but because it broke illusions, both spiritual and political. In ancient Tibet, only highly trained monks were allowed to read or interpret it. Not just anyone could recite the verses. In fact, many monasteries locked their copies away, wrapped in silk, sealed in stone or wood, and hidden behind walls. They believed if the wrong person read it, someone unprepared, impure, or ego-driven, it could trigger madness. According to oral histories, there were cases where villagers accidentally read from the manuscript out of curiosity. Days later, they were found wandering, shaking, mumbling incoherently about spirits, burning gates, and the 1,000 lights. One man was said to have gouged out his own eyes after claiming he saw his future death, and couldn't stop it. Were these legends, superstition, or were they warnings? The text itself even includes a ritual caveat, a sacred disclaimer. This book is not for the curious. It is for the dying. If read with ego, it brings confusion. If read with compassion, it brings freedom. But there was more at stake than spiritual danger. During Mongol invasions and later under Chinese occupation, many monasteries were ransacked, and anything deemed subversive was destroyed. The Bardo Thodol was considered threatening, not just to the state, but to control. It taught that no priest, no ruler, no system could control the fate of your soul. That was power. And power, in the wrong hands, is always a threat. Some monks risked everything to protect it. There are stories of scrolls being smuggled in hollowed-out statues, or buried beneath meditation caves. Some were copied by hand, each word inked with the monk's own blood to preserve its sanctity. They believed that even if the monasteries fell, the words must survive, because the dead would still need them. And now, in the modern world, the text has been translated, printed in bookstores, studied by scholars, quoted by poets. But the monks still say, it's not meant to be read casually. It's not just a book. It's a voice for those who can no longer speak. The reflection, what it means for us. The reflection, what it means for us. You're not dead. Not yet. But the manuscript was written for you. It doesn't matter if you believe in reincarnation, or karma, or spirits drifting between worlds. Because at its core, the Bardo Thodol isn't just about what happens after death, it's a mirror held up to life. It asks one question over and over. If you died today, what would your soul have to relive? Not just the triumphs, but the forgotten moments, the sharp words, the times you turned away, the truths you buried. Would you face 49 days of light, or of shadows you never acknowledged? The manuscript teaches something few modern minds dare to consider. That death is not the end, and it's not the enemy. It's a doorway, and what we carry into it is our responsibility. And in a way, that's liberating. Because it means right now, while you're still alive, breathing, watching this video, you have the power to change what comes after. Monks still sit beside the dying, whispering verses from the Bardo Thodol into their ears. They do it not out of tradition, but because they believe the soul is still listening. And if the soul hears just one phrase, one truth, at the right moment, it might wake up. It might escape the illusions. It might break the cycle. So I'll leave you with this. What if right now, you're in your own Bardo? What if life itself is the test, the mirror, the choice? Because when the final moment comes, and it will, you won't be judged by anyone else. You'll meet yourself. If this opened your eyes, or stirred something deeper, this channel is where the forgotten truths are brought back to light. Subscribe, and walk with us into the mysteries most fear to speak. Comment below. Do you think the Bardo is real, or a metaphor for life itself? Share this with someone you care about, someone whose soul might be listening. Because if the Bardo Thodol is right, we're all headed there, and we all deserve a guide.